So last week we started talking about preparing for Mass. And to remind you, preparing for Mass is important because each Mass is an opportunity to encounter God and our lives to be changed forever. And so I wanted to share with you some practical tips this week on how to prepare for Mass. Now, if you're anything like me, I often think like Mass is going to, always be this, I want it to be this spiritual, mystical experience of God, but I have 4 little children, so that makes it difficult. And so the preparation for Mass is actually even more important. And so a question for you today is, when does Mass begin? Now, that might seem like a simple question. It's the opening song, or it's when we make the sign of the cross. But in the Eastern Catholic Church, there's been a tradition of believing and understanding that the Mass, the liturgy, begins when we start to prepare. And so in the morning when we're getting ready, in the morning when we're getting our kids ready, or whatever you're doing to get ready for Mass, that's when we should start to really give our hearts, give our minds to God. And some simple things we can do. I know with my family as we drive to church, and you can do this whether it's just yourself, or you've got kids, or you're married and it's just you and your spouse, or even with a friend, is to think about, as you go to church, what is something that you're really thankful for this week? To celebrate that. But also, as we look forward to the week ahead, what is something that you want to pray for? Or someone that you want to bring to Mass with you as an intention, someone you want to really pray for in that Mass. The other thing to do is to read the readings. And sometimes maybe you don't have time, or you haven't read them and you're on your way to church and you want to get your mind focused on them. I encourage you, the USCCB has a podcast where you can actually listen to the readings for the day. And so you can listen to the readings even on the way to church. Now, it might seem counterproductive to listen to something and then to read it again or hear it again, but it actually makes us more alert and more attuned to what God is saying to us in the readings at Mass. One thing that I was almost shocked to learn at one point when I was studying theology was in one of the documents of Vatican II, Dei Verbum, which means the Word of God, that the Church says that we hold the same reverence for Jesus present in the reading of the Scriptures that we do for Jesus present in the Eucharist. So we should have that same reverence for Jesus as we're listening to the readings at Mass. These are just some quick suggestions about how you might prepare your heart, prepare your family for Mass. But I'd encourage you maybe to share below if you got some other ideas. And as you leave Mass, to maybe also to take those readings, to take those thoughts, to talk about the homily, to talk about maybe how God spoke to you this week with you, and to share that with other people. Because God is always drawing us closer to Himself. God is always longing to speak to us and to change our hearts and lives as we encounter His love.